welcome to episode 8. This is the episode where we mic up a guitar amp and record some lead guitar for the Buffalo Springfield song For What It's Worth. This is the part Neil Young played, and I was blown away with this when I heard this when I was a kid. It was on the radio, on the AM radio, and it was a tremolo guitar part. I'd never heard anything like it in a record. It blew my mind, and I'm very excited to be able to cover this. To be honest with you, this is going to be a lot of fun for me. So here we go, how to mic a guitar amp. All right, so now we're going to put the lead guitar part on our song. We're going to overdub it, and we all know that the song is For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield now. I just got to say, this song captivated my ear when I was a little boy. When I heard it, I was like 12 years old when it came on, and what caught my attention was the lead guitar, which is what we're going to cut now, and what caught my attention was this. It was in the track, and it was like this thing I'd never heard in a record before, and I was like, how are they doing that? Ah! Couldn't believe it. But now I do know how they did it, and I'm going to replicate that today. I'm using a Fender Deluxe Reverb amp, which is what was the industry standard amp for recording back in the 60s and 70s. Great sounding amplifiers, and they were used on so many records, countless records. All right, so let's talk about this amplifier. These amplifiers have a great ability to break up with a little bit of creamy distortion when you turn them up pretty loud. So I've got this amp turned up to around 7.5, treble at 5, bass 7.5, reverb 3.5, and then here's the major thing that was happening on the record was the tremolo. Tremolo and the reverb combo made it special. So without the tremolo and reverb, just sounds kind of like a guitar amp, right? We turn on the tremolo and the reverb. Well, you get that killer sound that's on the record, and that's what we're going to use. Okay, let's talk about the microphone. It's the same microphone we used for the acoustic guitar. It turns out a Shure SM57 is an actual industry standard for recording a guitar amplifier. You can put them in front of a loud amplifier. They can take a lot of sound pressure. The capsule doesn't break up. The speaker on this amplifier is centered in the middle of the amplifier. Now, the speaker goes out to about here, right? And the cone, of course, center of the cone is right about here. Now, the closer to the cone you are, the more treble-y, the more high frequency sound you get. The more toward the edge of the speaker you go, the darker the sound will get, okay? I put the microphone pretty much, it's toward the brighter aspect of the speaker, not at the brightest point, but this right here would be darker, this right here would be brighter, this is right here is a fairly bright position for the mic, and the mic is literally about 2 inches away from the grill cloth, so it's got a little bit of room for the sound to breathe. All right, we're going to record the lead guitar now on this song, For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield. Neil Young played the lead guitar part. I've created a track in our session, our song here in Studio One, and I've selected Input 1. And the reason I've selected Input 1 is because, boom, we've got it. The microphone for the amplifier is plugged into Input 1. On this interface, there is a thing called the pad. We talked about that earlier. The pad is a 15 dB. I've got the pad engaged because I know that amplifier is pretty darn loud, and that microphone, it's not going to break up, but I don't want to break up the input of this mic preamp. So I put the pad in, and I got the level. I turned up the level where it's nice on the input of Studio One. Turns out it's right around 2:30, 3 o'clock. That's a nominal setting. If you can get your input gain knob on your input of your audio interface at around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, that's nominal position. That's a good place for it to be. Okay, in Studio One, here is our lead guitar track that we're going to record on. It's set for input 1. And you saw that we plugged the microphone into input 1 of the interface. So now let's look at our level. I've got it set. And there you see it. It's a very nice level, about 80%. That's what we want. All right, one of the things about doing an overdub is the opportunity that if you make a mistake and you don't like what you've done, you can punch in. You don't have to play it perfectly all the way through. And I can guarantee you I'm probably going to make a mistake or two while I'm doing this, if not 30 or 40 mistakes, okay? So let's give it a shot. I'll show you how we take care of making mistakes as we go. So let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to wear headphones doing this because the amplifier is pretty darn loud in the room. And I don't want to hurt my ears. I'm an old man. Let's give this thing a shot from the top. So there it is. I knew I'd screw up. Okay, I know what I'm supposed to play now. Okay, so I'm glad I fucked up so I can show you how to punch in when you screw up. So I'm going to play along with the song, and I'm going to have the software punch me in automatically. Almost all software does this. Almost every DAW will do this for you, so you don't have to reach over and do this. And it's right here. You see this down at the bottom? It says auto punch. Bang. You turn that on, okay? And when the DAW gets to that point, you hit record. Watch, it'll go in. Auto punch. How about that? All right, let's do this. All right, screwed up, got lost, didn't know where I was. I'm making mistakes as I go, but hey, that is just the nature of the way I play. I'm not that great of a player. Maybe you're a better player than me, and I hope it all works out for you down the road. Here we go. So, we're going to start with this. Okay, I'll start right there. I think that'll be a good place to punch in. as it were. All right, and we'll start right about there. Okay, so we'll punch in, try to get the ending here. Here we go. Okay, I like that one the best. And there we go. How about that? We put an inexpensive Shure SM57 in front of a nice amplifier, ran it straight into an inexpensive audio interface, and went right into our DAW, and we recorded that lead guitar sound. Got the right sound on the amp. Big important part. Get the right sound at the source. We didn't use any signal processing, didn't use any EQ, didn't use any compression, but we were successful in getting it recorded. We also, when we made some mistakes, we figured out how to punch in. Oh, there's an airplane going over. That's fun. We also figured out when you make a mistake how to use auto punch. So you don't have to reach over and punch a button before you play. You can just play along and the software punches you in. Wonderful feature. So that was part 1 of episode 8. Part 2 is going to show us mixing in what we just recorded and doing a little bit of signal processing, doing some compression and some EQ to get the new lead guitar to sit into the track in a really nice fashion. All right, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe and continue watching the Home Studio for Beginners series here on Record, Mix, Repeat. I'm your host, Rusty Smith, and thanks for watching.